Welcome to The Explainer. Our whole goal here is to take these really complex insider conversations and just make them super clear for you.
So this week we've got something pretty special. We're getting a peek inside a private community of AI leaders and innovators. We're going to pull back the curtain and show you the five, and I mean the five, conversations that are absolutely dominating their thinking right now and really shaping what's next.
All right, let's jump right in. We're going to cover the great AI migration, then move to unlocking AI superpowers. After that, a huge one, the billion-dollar bubble debate. Then we'll get into the people behind it all, leaders, scientists versus strategists. And finally, we'll look at Grok's high-stakes future. It's going to be good.
Okay, first up, the great AI migration. And this is a very real-world problem, right? I mean, I'm sure you're feeling this too. With these crazy powerful new models dropping what feels like every single week, the big question is it time to switch? Should you leave the AI tools you already know and love? This is a huge topic in the community right now.
So here's the core tension. On one side, you've got the incumbent, ChatGPT. It's comfortable, it's familiar, you've got all this history with it. But then you have the challenger, Gemini 3, which, wow, a lot of folks are saying it's a huge step up, especially for coding and how it just slots right into Google Workspace. But, and this is a big but, leaving ChatGPT is just not that simple.
And the single biggest hurdle is this thing the community is calling memory lock-in. Just think about it for a second. Your AI, it kind of knows you. It's learned your style, it knows your projects, your little quirks. It's got years of context built up. So leaving it feels like you're starting over from scratch with a tool that has no idea who you are.
So what's the takeaway here? Well, for a lot of these experts, the answer is crystal clear. Don't get locked in. They argue the winning strategy is to stay model-agnostic. Basically, use these aggregator tools that let you tap into different models from one place. That way, you're always using the best tool for the job, no strings attached.
All right, so let's say you've got your tools figured out. The next big conversation is, what are you actually doing with them? Because we're seeing experts push AI way beyond simple Q&A. They're unlocking some serious AI superpowers.
We're seeing this incredible evolution. Step one, the basic stuff, was just summarizing articles. We've all done that. But now, we're at a whole new level. People are taking tools like Google's NotebookLM, feeding it a simple transcript, and bam, out comes a full, editable slide deck, or an audio podcast, or even a complex infographic, all from the same source material. It's wild.
And you really need to grasp the scale of this productivity jump. This quote, just let it sink in. A member generated a high-quality, 15-page strategic presentation almost instantly. And they're saying that's what used to be a week, maybe even a month of work for a top-tier consulting team. That's not just an improvement, that's a total game changer.
Okay, so when you have that kind of game-changing power, a ton of money follows. And that leads us to our third big debate, a really huge economic question that got everyone talking. Is this whole AI industry built on solid ground, or are we living in a massive bubble that's just waiting to pop?
The whole conversation really got going with this one fascinating comparison. People started asking, is a company like OpenAI, with all the money it's burning through and no obvious path to profit, is it just another dot-com bust waiting to happen, or is it actually more like seeing Amazon in the super early days when it was also just burning cash like crazy?
And at the heart of this whole thing is just the mind-boggling amount of money needed. We're talking staggering numbers. One report they were all discussing suggested that OpenAI might need to raise over $200 billion by 2030. And that's just to keep the lights on and the models running.
And this table lays out the two sides of the argument perfectly. You've got the bubble view. They point to something called reverse economies of scale, which is a crazy idea, right? It means the newer, better models actually cost more to run. So they just see a giant bonfire of cash with no clear profit model. But then you have the long-term bet camp, and they're saying, whoa, hold on, you're looking at this all wrong. They say it's not a demand problem. Everyone wants the stuff. It's a supply problem. We're starved for chips and energy. For them, this isn't a bubble. It's a necessary, long-term investment in the essential infrastructure of the future.
This whole debate about money, long-term vision, and infrastructure, it naturally leads to the next big topic. What kind of person should be leading this revolution? What kind of leader does the AI industry actually need to succeed?
And the community basically broke it down into two archetypes. On one side, you have the scientist. Think Demis Hassabis from DeepMind. He's all about scientific purity, chasing those true foundational breakthroughs, playing the long game. And on the other side, you've got the strategist.
Think Sam Altman at OpenAI. Aggressive, hyper-focused on capital, an absolute master of hype and market momentum. So, one side of the argument is that these strategists, well, they might not always be the most likable people, but they're a necessary evil. They're the ones who light the match, who attract the billions in capital, and who force the entire industry to accelerate, a phenomenon one member even called the Hannibal effect. Pretty intense. But oh man, the counter-argument was fierce. This group believes that hype-driven leaders are ultimately a net negative for the field, and the reasoning is powerful. They're saying that the culture of hype and aggressive market tactics actively discourages the very scientists who are capable of delivering the true foundational breakthroughs the world actually needs.
And that brings us to our final topic. The community turned its attention to a mysterious, high-stakes player that perfectly embodies this whole tension between hype and substance, and that's Elon Musk's xAI and its model, Grok.
So here's the central puzzle with Grok. How does a company with a reported $230 billion valuation have virtually no enterprise customers to speak of compared to its rivals? It's a massive number with very few paying customers to justify it.
And this is why it's such a huge debate, because the views are polar opposites. The bear case says this is just investor FOMO, fear of missing out, on anything Musk touches, and that the product itself lags way behind for real-world tasks. But the bull case sees a unique, hidden value, its unmatched access to the real-time data firehose of X, and its potential to become this disruptive, unfiltered AI that's deeply integrated into products like Tesla.
Okay, so we've been through 5 huge debates, so what's the big picture? What should you really take away from all this? Well, when you look at them all together, you start to see these core tensions that are shaping pretty much everything in AI right now. We're seeing these fundamental conflicts play out everywhere. The fight between a user's freedom to choose and a platform's desire to lock them in. The clash between moving fast with hype versus building sustainable science. And that deep philosophical divide between the market strategists who sell the story and the scientific visionaries who actually write the code. These are the battle lines.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really big thought to chew on. The biggest question facing AI isn't just about which technology is going to win. It's about which philosophy, which type of leader, and which set of values will ultimately build our future. Thanks for joining this explainer.